Hello everyone, welcome to the season 2 of Humans of Crypto. Today we're going to talk about food in the metaverse. Yes, that's correct. We're going to talk about how can we get food in the metaverse. And for those of you who don't understand what metaverse is, it's nothing really but an alternate reality where an immersive 3D environment that replicates the physical world and the experiences in a digital space. Well, that's very layman way of putting it across. But you recently heard like a couple actually hosted their wedding, a Harry Potter themed wedding, with over 6,000 people joining their wedding. I mean, isn't that fascinating to actually think like that's even a possibility in the times of like pandemic where we can't even meet our friends? So the possibilities with Web3 is endless. It's just about how we identify these kind of work where people are taking us from Web 2.0 to Web 3. So today we are going to be talking about Foodverse, and we are joined by Supreet Raju, who is building the world's first food metaverse. Hello,
Thank you
Supreet.
so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you. Really happy to be here. And yeah, it's quite exciting times.
All right. So, I mean, Supreet, let's start with like understanding your journey. So, when did you first hear about crypto, first of all?
So basically, I got married to the love of my life in 2017, and it was actually his plunge into crypto that brought that within our home and our space as well. And he is now my co-founder at OneRare. So we're an all-in-one unit in that sense. And since 2017, yes, as soon as, the talk of blockchain and how this technology is going to be the newest thing, Gaurav is very tech savvy, and he loves to, be up with the latest things. So I would attribute it single-handedly to him to bring that into my life as well.
Amazing. And I think you are a designer at heart, and you had done your education from NIFT. And tell us a little bit about like what are your passion projects? What are you most passionate about?
So actually, I was in NIFT Delhi from 2006 to 10, and I was doing textile design. I was pretty happy at doing that. But for me, the core education that NIFT imparts is that you can use creative thinking to better anything. And I kind of use that for all of my working years, not just, doing a single-handed textile design component. For me, it was more large-scale projects, whether it was a user experience, whether it was exhibition design. But I used to leverage whatever I had learned in my design education to kind of improve experiences. And I also teach design now. For the last 5 years, I've been teaching at NIFT as well. So I think for me, it's very interesting when you can get a layman to suddenly understand design better, when you can improve someone's ability to make life better by improving the design of something. And I think that kind of brought me into crypto in that sense, that I could see this industry and I wanted people to understand this industry better. And I think by giving them good design, simplified experiences, I can help do that.
Amazing. And I think one question that comes to mind, like, why do you think that you thought of taking food as a particular subject matter into the metaverse? How is it different from like, the normal journey that people are going through? Food is a basic part where people connect, right? And so what was the thought behind that?
So I think there were two big thoughts for me. One at a very personal level, Gaurav and I, so we met on Tinder and we traveled the world. We did a 6-month honeymoon, which was like a personal resolve for us. And food was the largest part of everywhere we've traveled to, whether it was going to South Korea or Costa Rica. It was the food of every place that stayed with us. So for us as a personal journey, food has been a massive part of who we are. And on the other side, like I said, because I come from an education background, for me, you know how in our maths books we have apples and oranges and we use those for kids to kind of explain them things. I look at food like that for blockchain as well. That if I say that, you know, let's bring in the potato, cooking oil and salt NFTs, and when you bring these three things together, what can you cook up? And the answer is French fries. It just makes all of that process of learning blockchain so simple and so fun.
Fascinating. So now we move on to the segment 2 part of the show, where we're going to talk about a little bit deep dive into the tech part of things. Isn't it like unreal to think like, you know, you can think about food in the metaverse? It's like a sci-fi movie, right? So what is it that you do at OneRare? Like, what is the experience that any layman person can experience?
So I think what we have to understand with the metaverse is, and at least I'm a strong believer, that we're not looking to replace real life. Like that, anybody who believes that we should now be connected to our devices and this should be the rightest way to do things, I'm not on the same page with that. I think the metaverse experience is enhancing how we interact digitally. Like today, you and I are talking through this forum, but we are 2D for each other. Maybe tomorrow in the Foodverse, we could go out for a coffee date where we order at Starbucks and then Starbucks delivers to our respective homes and our avatars can chill in the Foodverse. So that's how I see it. All these apps on our phone, whether it is Instagram, whether it is Zomato, Zoom, for example, they come together in this metaverse and they kind of create a better virtual experience for us. And I think that is kind of like the Instagram moment of 2009, where people are trying to understand what this does for them, how it will monetize for brands, or how it will work for individuals in terms of privacy, safety. But we'll get there. We will surely get there with different metaverse concepts. I just think that this will just help us interact better in a more freer manner. And I think being stuck at home in the pandemic has just accelerated this a lot faster than people expected.
Absolutely. And I think one of the other things, like most of the times when I'm not really hungry, but I also found comfort looking at food videos, you know,
Yeah, absolutely. I think MasterChef Australia, right? MasterChef is the biggest example. They don't give a recipe out. You don't really know what the contestant is making. You don't taste the food, but people develop so much interest in, you know, binge watching a cooking show because it gives happiness in a way that maybe your tongue doesn't need it, but your eyes are feasting on it.
So, but then tell me something, how is it different from The Sims or any other, you know, food related gaming things that we experience on Facebook or otherwise, right? So how is the OneRare experience going to be exclusive of that?
So I think the biggest thing with all blockchain projects is that they focus a lot more on the community than they do on, becoming profitable themselves. This is a very shared experience. And I think that is the biggest difference between a game like Farmville that ran on Facebook, which everybody bought assets on Farmville, but they are all attributed to Facebook. There's no real ownership. That changes in OneRare because you can own the only French fries in the world, or you can own, Saransh Goela's butter chicken, and you can use that NFT then, whether it's in your house, in a party, for other coupons, deals. There is a true sense of ownership that allows the community to come together as well, irrespective of where they're based. So I think not just like us, but for every blockchain project, community comes absolutely to the top of the list, not any other aspect.
So I'm guessing you're working with the F&B department and also trying to talk to restaurants to figure out how they can get into the metaverse, right? So how is that hand-holding shaping up?
So actually, it's been brilliant because we are the first food project, not just in India, but across the world. So we've usually, ever since we came into the market, we've raised an investment round as well. But it's always been such a fun presentation, not just for us, but for the investors. And, as we started talking to people, they got excited. They started connecting us to chefs and, to restaurants, and they wanted in. And I think people of late, the past year was a lot about Bollywood celebrities coming out with an NFT or a Hollywood celebrity, but nobody was talking to the food industry. So I think they felt that their time has come, and honestly, the response has been brilliant. Yes, there is hand holding. Some of them are completely unaware of what it is, whereas some of them are very clued in. They know every single aspect of blockchain. They've been investing in other projects. But it's been really nice. And we, at this point of time, have announced 5 chefs from all across the world with us, who Michelin starred, Master Chef judges, contestants. And within India, we have Farzi Cafe and massive restaurants coming in with Zorawar Kalra. We have Chef Saransh Goyla, who's the first chef who joined us. And we have Urban Platter, which is an ingredients company. So they'll come into our gameplay as ingredients. So I think it's been a very interesting journey bringing in these various aspects of food and being able to actually launch their first NFTs.
Amazing. And I think that's just another way of looking at things, that the traditional ecosystem can also learn a lot on how to leverage tech to figure out how they can further engage with their consumers more creatively, probably.
Yes, absolutely. And also monetize. Currently you may be the world's most famous chef, right? Like all of us know Gordon Ramsay, Vikas Khanna, but they can only monetize what they can locally as their local restaurant would run, or the number of table covers they have. What the metaverse does is that it gives them a chance to monetize globally. So their entire local approach becomes global, where tomorrow recognition in the metaverse can actually lead them to a restaurant in Australia, for example, because they would be that known, or their cookbook would be more appreciated. So I think it just suddenly opens up the whole world for the F&B industry to explore. And that's a very powerful tool.
I think one question that I had in mind, like, since we are working in the crypto ecosystem, there's several challenges, right? So what are the kind of, feedback that you think that there has to be further more work towards, and the kind of support that you think that you already are getting from your current crypto investors or thought leaders in the crypto space? Do you think there is a good balance of that? Or if not, then what can be done more to, create those opportunities?
The support has actually been brilliant. I mean, within even the Indian ecosystem, and we've been lucky that, Sandeep from Polygon, Nishchal from WazirX have been angels in our project as well. And not just India, within the whole ecosystem, people do operate very seamlessly here. In terms of challenges, I would definitely say that, yes, there is not enough talent yet in the market to support, the growing interest in metaverse. And so, the softwares or the smart contracts, it is going to take a little bit longer for them to become easily accessible to everybody. And I think as an industry, the biggest challenge for the industry to fuel adoption is to make the whole process of owning a wallet friendlier, giving people that confidence in security, whether they're logging onto something, making that experience more secure for them. But it would happen because, in the same way, if you remember, maybe 5 or 7 years ago, people didn't trust Paytm. They would not keep a Paytm wallet, and it didn't make sense to them. And then, of course, demonetization really, opened the path to that. But I think with crypto wallets, we are still at that point of hesitation where people don't really know where they're logging in. Is it secure enough for them? Losing passwords means a whole different ball game here altogether. Yeah. So I think that is the kind of challenge that the industry has. Like, we need to make it more accessible and more friendly for people to log in to, have more mobile friendly apps, for example, because the world is logging in through phones now. But yeah, like I said, it's such a new industry. Things are so new. Every month, things change in every particular project and how they envision things. And hopefully, I think by the end of this year, there'll be a lot more, because there's a very steady stream of interest and talent now.
And I think that's slowly catching up with increased confidence in the sector, and also several entrepreneurs are also sharing their vision very openly, right?
Yeah.
Since the regulatory aspects are also kind of shaping up, it's underway, and it seems like a forward-looking approach. So all of the people who are probably on the sidelines, no coiners alike, they all are looking at the space very intentively and trying to figure out how can they get into the space and take like lesser risk as per their risk taking appetite.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think interest is sky high right now. I think a lot of traditional companies are waiting for regulations very desperately, because it makes the path easier. It attracts better quality of talent. It makes, company ownership easier in terms of everybody wants to comply with the regulations, to grow. So I think WazirX has actually been doing a brilliant job at trying their best to comply. And I can see that, when in all the companies here in the crypto blockchain space that are building in India are very keen to actually, get the rules in place so they can grow their companies and do that. And hopefully, I think within this year, a lot more should happen.
With that, let's get into the fun part of the segment, okay? So this segment is called the quick fix. So the first question would be, what's your favorite cuisine? Like, what do you, or which is your favorite restaurant?
Restaurants would be a lot, but Italian is my favorite cuisine for sure.
Amazing. And favorite chef?
Favorite chef? I mean, I would love to have all the chefs that we've been working with now. I've not really tasted anybody's food, but I think I would love to have a dessert by Renald Pornomo for sure. That is on my list, because he is a chef with us at OneRare. And I mean, whenever we discuss recipes, and I've seen his journey on MasterChef Australia, so definitely want to try one of those.
If one walks into your kitchen on OneRare, what is the first thing that they'll find?
Oh, they'll find a pizza. They'll find a pepperoni pizza followed by golgappe and butter chicken.
Wow.
I can tell you all three.
So, I mean, given your affinity towards design and textile, do you think there'll be a point where you're going to merge the two worlds of your passion projects? Like, how do you think that's going to play out for you? Like,
I would love to. Honestly, nobody's ever asked me that. So that's a very insightful question for me as well to think about. But I think by and large, the textile industry is a slow mover, unfortunately, and tech is not their favorite point. I think the pandemic, shutting down exhibitions all over the world and making business a lot more virtual oriented has already been a big tech shift for them. I don't think that they're looking to come into the blockchain space anytime soon. But yeah, like as and when it happens, I think it's the youth of any country that would propel this, the number of young people who adapt to this technology would. And traditionally textiles is not really a youth oriented sector. So maybe it'll happen in due course, but I do definitely see hospitality, food, other Web2 spaces, sports, for example. I see those industries as being faster movers for blockchain tech.
And I think that's true. Probably the adoption in India will be slow, but globally, I think we see Balenciaga and for several brands like they're also launching their own, kind of thought process behind NFTs and how they want to engage with the community. So, because in the metaverse, what happens is that you also walk into a different world. So you want to know how you look and the kind of that you feel while you.
And it allows you to look the way you kind of want to. The beauty of the metaverse is that, you may own a 1 BHK in Bombay, but you can own a villa that is, in a tropical paradise in a particular metaverse. So you can, put up artworks that you can't really access in your, in real life, and you can put those up in your home. So that it kind of allows you to be who you would like to be. Versus what you have to be because of your real circumstances. So if you want to feel, you want to wear a Balenciaga, you want to, dress to the T, you want to flaunt your CryptoPunk art, the metaverse allows you to do that.
And I think the last question for this segment would be like, you're also thinking about a token, right? To kind of figure out how people can probably engage with each other. So what is the tokenomics of that? Like, what is the utility of that particular token that you're thinking currently?
So our native token is called ORARE, and what that does is basically it fuels the entire Foodverse. So you can use the token to stake it to kind of claim your ingredients, use that to make your dishes. If you want to transact at the farmer's market, you use the ORARE token for that. So it is a high utility token for us essentially in the Foodverse.
Amazing. So then we move on to the fourth segment, which is about the expert ease. What are the utilities of NFTs that can be brought to light with your journey with crypto?
So I think for us, bringing the utility into our NFTs was a goal from day one. We did start at a time when it was all about, NFT being art, whether it was Bored Ape, whether it was CryptoPunks. But somewhere along the line, this was something we predicted early, where we knew that NFTs without utility will not make sense. So within our Foodverse, we have two types of utility for all our NFTs. We have a virtual use case and we have a real world use case. Within virtual, you can basically use your dish NFTs to play more games. It acts as a token or as an entry ticket in that sense. So you can run your food truck, you can earn a lot for your food truck, and you can decide what dishes go into it. You can battle against other players and take that forward. And we also are trying to create an option where, let's say you have, a butter chicken NFT, you would be able to go to Goila Butter Chicken and swap that for a real meal, or, be able to have a culinary experience at Farsi Cafe, for example. So for us, bringing utility in every form of our NFTs is very, very important to us. And I think every project, not just us, going forward, every gameplay, everybody who's kind of deciding to build now should look at this aspect, because I think when you kind of bring real and virtual use cases together, that's when the tech really takes off.
So in that case, that means you're already looking at expanding your team, and you're scouting for talent as well. So is that a challenge? You mentioned that. So what are you kind of looking for right now? What is the roadmap for OneRare?
So actually what happens with, when a new tech comes in, there's obviously a lot of enthusiasm, and what people don't realize is that there's a lot of scope for Web2 people to come in as well, because a large part of, say, the Metaverse we're building is 3D artists, it's, Unity developers, it's people who have been doing that in a different business, and they can actually make that jump. So our team is like equally positioned between people who are blockchain devs, and we're a team of about 20 now. And it's a mix of, people who are artists, concept artists, graphic designers, as well as blockchain developers. I think hopefully we keep growing and we keep adding to our team like we are right now. And hopefully, I think with every passing year, the talent in the market is, they're gaining experience, or they're, trying to learn themselves. And I think I can see that a lot in India. And actually, this is something you said a long time ago in the interview, but India is so good at, when people decide to learn new technology, or, the hard work they put into learning something like this, that if regulations came in and if people could set up, we would easily be the hub for blockchain technology, rather than being an, service provider 2 years later. Because the moment is now, and we could easily just rise to the top on the basis of the quality of talent we have in India. Like, it's phenomenal. When I see 21, 22-year-old boys, they've taught themselves everything there is in the technology, and they're, working with us or with other projects. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's like you said, the show is Humans of Crypto, and it's actually, for me, the 21-year-olds who are so far ahead of where I was when I was 21, in terms of just their clarity of thought and knowing what they want to get. I find them to be amazing.
So what is your takeaway while you do mentor and teach, students of your heart?
So I actually, it's something that, I don't know, maybe 2 years later will bite me. But I actually think that all the books that we tend to have on blockchain and crypto, by the time they come out, they become outdated, because that's how fast tech is moving at this point of time. So yeah, if I were to advise someone to learn, I would tell them to look at the news every day, to look at, the thought leaders in the space, to look at, newsletters like Bankless, which is a brilliant newsletter, but to basically, leverage what is happening today versus what was happening yesterday, and kind of really self-learn. I've actually recently come across a couple of colleges that have started blockchain courses. There's a college in Dehradun which they do petroleum engineering, I believe, but they have a blockchain course. I believe even in Vellore they've started a blockchain course. So I think, colleges that are kind of helping students learn, hats off to them, because they're helping them take that next step. But if somebody is learning on their own, they should really go all out and explore whatever is in the market today. What are people saying? Trying to learn bits and pieces of everything. And I think right now the community is open enough and supportive enough that people do talk to each other. There is engagement. You will find a lot of AMA sessions, which is so unlike Web 2. You would never find a founder coming in there and trying to explain themselves, which happens here. So I think there's a lot, but it's a lot of self-initiative right now. There's not going to be this NIFT created which will churn out a guaranteed fashion designer. We're a bit far from that. So if you are interested in blockchain right now, you will have to, it is a little harder. Yeah, you have to take that initiative.
Amazing. So I think, Supreet, you kind of summarize the overall experience so very beautifully, and that too with food. I'm super hungry. I'm not sure about you, and you mentioned all beautiful ways in which the young talent in India can actually utilize this opportunity to kind of seize the moment and get started. So thank you very much for joining the show, and we would really love for the audience to kind of share your feedback, your questions with us. Supreet and I are going to talk about more about the Foodverse once the launch happens, and we'll get more use cases to talk about. Till then, bye.